The Corvette ZR1 was General Motors' answer to Ferrari. You could not buy a faster, more exciting vehicle in 1990 than this one. In this video, I'm going to tell you all about the Corvette ZR1 and show you one that's listed for sale right now. Let me show you what I found on Craigslist. Let's start with a little background on the Corvette in general. So the generation of Corvette we're talking about is the C4, which was the fourth generation Corvette released in 1984. The C4 generation improved as time went on. In 1984, the Corvette was a little bit underpowered, just 205 horsepower being produced by its V8, and it was mated to either a 4+3 manual transmission or a 4-speed automatic. Beginning in 1985, the Corvette got a 245 horsepower V8 that continued right through 1991. So today I'm going to show you a 1990 ZR1, and I want to compare it directly to a contemporary Corvette. So let's talk about a 1990 base C4. As I mentioned, that car had a 245 horsepower V8 that did 0 to 60 in about 5 seconds. The C4 was not rare at all. In 1990 alone, Chevy made 23,646 C4s, and they sold them at a base price of $31,979, which, when you adjust for inflation, is about a $62,000 base price. Compare that with the 1990 ZR1, which had a V8 that produced 375 horsepower and did 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds as reported by Car and Driver. And that was a 0 to 60 time that beat Ferraris of the same era. 4.5 seconds doesn't seem so quick these days when cars routinely go under 3 seconds, but this was a revelation in 1990. And the ZR1 was rare. In 1990, Chevy only built 3,049 units, and actually these became rarer as time went on. ZR1 production ended in 1995, and at that point, Chevy was only making a couple hundred per year, so very rare model, and you paid dearly for it. The ZR1 started at $58,995 in 1990, which when you adjust for inflation comes out to about $115,000. So a huge premium over the base C4. Was it worth it? Basically every car magazine says it was worth it, at least in 1990. Road and Track, Car and Driver, and even Haggerty say that the ZR1 was the ultimate sports car, the king of the hill, the best Corvette you could buy. Things changed in 1991, though, when Chevy upgraded the engine for the base C4. So when the old car made 245 horsepower, the new 1991 C4 made 300 horsepower to start. And since that closed the horsepower gap between the base C4 and the ZR1 to only 75 horsepower, it made spending the additional $30,000 for the ZR1 seem like a pretty bad idea. So that's why so few cars were produced and they didn't really sell all that well. But with all of that said, let's now check out a 1990 ZR1 listed for sale currently on Craigslist. So this is a 1990 Corvette ZR1. It's listed for sale in Fall River, Massachusetts, and it's listed at $38,500. This is a really interesting car for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's a ZR1, and it's a ZR1 from the first year that they were produced. Second, it's a low production number. This is ZR1 number 59. And number three, it only has 1,470 miles on the odometer, and those are original miles. This car has hardly been driven over its lifetime. You're essentially buying a brand new ZR1 30 years later. Let's take a look at the pictures that the seller has provided. Right off the bat, you can tell that this car is essentially in showroom condition. I've never seen such a nice ZR1 listed for sale, especially not on Craigslist, and I can't remember any C4 in general being in such good condition. This car just looks perfect to me. As we go through pictures of the wheels here, I just want to point out one thing. The seller noted in the listing that these are the original tires. So when the car was new, these are the tires that came with it. That's certainly interesting, and the seller says that there's no dry rot on the tires, but with the car sitting for 30 years, the tires do tend to flatten out. And I don't know that I would drive on tires that are 30 years old. So if I was buying this car, I would put some new tires on it, even if I was going to be showing the car. Continuing to the interior now, you can tell that this car is, again, in showroom condition, just in excellent shape, very well maintained. There's absolutely no wear or tear on these leather seats or anywhere on the carpeting or the panel trims. Just a fantastic looking car. The engine bay is spectacularly clean. This car has been wonderfully maintained by its owner. And this gauge cluster is something interesting. When the C4 debuted in 1984, it had this very futuristic digital gauge cluster. But as the years went on, Chevy reverted back to analog gauges, and that's what this ZR1 has, the traditional analog gauge with just a digital fuel meter and speedometer in the middle. One last thing to note in the pictures here, the seller has the original window sticker for this car laminated and ready for the new owner. This is a really cool piece of history here. So in addition to service records, having the window sticker is very important. It all just adds to the appeal of this car. At a $38,000 asking price, I think that this ZR1 is priced fairly. As I mentioned earlier, I've never seen such a clean ZR1, especially for sale on Craigslist, and the low mileage makes this a very attractive car. The ZR1 is certainly one of the more desirable C4 models. This and the Grand Sport can bring north of $30,000 in some cases. With that said, though, looking at auction data and sales data online, not too many ZR1s have sold for a price quite this high. I think that this is an exceptional car. I think that this is a great value, especially when you consider that when new, this car sold for the equivalent of $115,000. However, it remains to be seen what the appreciation curve will look like on these vehicles, whether the market will value them in the future or not. So while you could find a driver type of C4 for under $6,000 if you wanted to on Craigslist, this is something really special. This is the Ferrari killer. This is the top of the American sports car food chain, and I think it is spectacular. So $35,000, I'm saying this is a fair price. Let me know what you think in the comments.